need a friend and expert when it comes to organizational structures in companies. We're already starting to discuss a little bit of the topics, and we have so many ideas to discuss. We have to admit that we will split that whole video now into two parts. We will do a video, short, hands-on ideas on the question of, do you need a CDO? How would it look like? And then we do a podcast and deep dive into more strategic question. Good. All right, we got it. But before we start, I would say a quick introduction to you.
So I'm Olaf Bach. I'm teaching business economics, management and business design at the University of St. Gallen and at the Weissensee Art Academy in Berlin. And besides, I'm founder of Management Kits to develop a new kind of management tool.
So Kits as a toolbox that you can have and apply to your company. Great. Yes. And the topic for today, or the question that we started to discuss on the phone is, do you actually need a CDO, a Chief Digital Officer? That's the key question.
That's the key question, and I think it's related to the broader question. I mean, everybody is talking about digital transformation these days. Where do you see like the biggest enemies or hurdles to become a digital company and actually digitally transform yourself?
I believe that in not even 10 years from now, maybe more like 5 years from now, every company needs or will be a digital company, so it's necessary. That's 100% for sure. And the biggest hurdle, I think, is that it's usually attacked from the top. So I see 3 areas for digital transformation. The business model, very obvious. You need a digital business model in order to run your business in a new way. You need a digital customer experience. That's the second thing, like having stuff on apps, maybe in the future, also other devices. Very important. It's totally different to attack the customer from an app side compared to like you have them coming into your bank, for example. And then the third area is the operations, having a digital operations. And I think the biggest hurdle is that too many companies focus on the first two in the beginning instead of knowing and seeing what they have inside when it comes to operations, communication, all the stuff that you have already in the company. And I think that's the better first step to go.
Why is that? One hypothesis would be that the business model question is a strategy question. You can discuss from a leadership team and drive from the top. Same with, attacking the customer via an app. You can have a dedicated project team and that have only a part of the organization dealing with that, either at the top or on the side. However, the ops thing is really cross-cutting, right? And affecting every part of a company.
Why do I say that? I believe in order to make everyone aware that digital transformation is not just a buzzword, it is a buzzword right now, but like it's happening, you need to be able to feel it. And many people cannot feel the new digital strategy for the business model. They cannot feel the customer experience, at least not when the project team starts, maybe then later. But in everyday work, how do you communicate, how you do your conferences, how you set up your team, like in an office environment like we have, you can feel it. And I think that's a very important first step to go.
What are some of the biggest hurdles you see in the way of actually feeling it and implementing new tools? Where would you start with that?
I'm a big fan of the first step. So in order to have something to get going, I would say like before you, like let's say you get the new position of a CDO. You come to the company, you're super motivated and you want to start. And then it depends also like how the company defines CDO. Like there's like companies seeing this as a marketing social media guy and the other more an IT guy. And both sides are too extreme. They're not true. Like there's like the truth is in the middle. And it's its own position. And when you start, I think it's important to not start at like every different point and every different project you can attack, but say, for example, I change one simple thing. For example, we have a customer and they changed just one communication tool. Like they just added one messenger to their communication. Everyone started using that, liked it, and felt a little bit how it is. And that makes it far easier to start pushing digital projects into the company. So that's why I think that's an example for a good starting point.
So would you say that the main responsibility of such a CDO is driving this change inside the organization, or how would the profile typically or ideally look like?
I'm not sure if there is one profile that fits every company. It depends a little bit on like what does the operation look like, and you definitely drive the change, that's for sure. But the CEO needs to understand that he cannot just appoint someone to the CDO and then everything is fine. It's right now it's a strategic task, and I don't think you will need a CDO in the future, like today, but maybe not in the future, because in the old days you had a chief electric officer, like to keep things running. You don't have that today anymore. But back then everything changed based on electricity. Now it's a commodity. So you drive the change, you're definitely the driver for the change, but probably not, most likely not all the time. Not all the time. And you need to make sure that it will stay in the company, whatever you start to change.
And will the CIO remain, or how has the CDO to be thought of in contrast or in cooperation with the CIO?
With the CIO. Very important topic. Very good question and very good point, because this is a topic many companies mix up. They mix up IT with digital. They also mix up security with IT. Like I did an interview on that with a former hacker of Deutsche Telekom. And the problem here I see is that they think you cannot separate the projects the CIO has. Or sometimes the CDO is part of the CIO staff. I don't think that's a good idea. CIO means you run the infrastructure of the company. You have totally different tasks. It's more administrative, it's more support. The CDO enables more the digital processes, the projects that you have. And he will definitely have all these three areas of business model, customer experience, and the operations. Operations is just one part of it. And he should not be stuck into setting up computers, buying or selling cameras. He should be involved in that, like to see like what will enable people. But it's not his main focus. If you do that, you will overload him with work, and there will be not the change that you expect.
Okay, so is it like the CIO building the roads and the CDO is managing the traffic?
I like that picture. I think that's a good idea. I would say it's not for every company, most likely. But there are clients that we have that I know where this would be a picture that helps a lot. Saying, okay, one builds the road and the other the traffic, and if these two work together, the better, right? Because if you build self-driving cars and you can use the road that the car can like see where it is.
What are specific things in terms of an agenda that the CDO would have maybe for the first 100 days of his job?
So first of all, scan how the people work. That's like start from the operations, go to the customer experience, go to the business model. Look at the operations, look how people work, get a feeling for it, and see these little micro processes happening every day. Like where does nonsense happen? Sense will always make sense. Nonsense will always stay nonsense. So if you see something and you see that's nonsense how they do it, and that's what you need to challenge, then challenge it. And
do you have an example?
Yeah.
Great nonsense thing.
The greatest nonsense
thing.
you've seen. The greatest nonsense I still see today is you have a document, we discuss, let's say, a contract, or we write a press release or our article or our document here for the meeting, and there's not 2 people involved, but there are 4 people involved, which is usual every day. And then this document is sent via an email to these 4 people. Then you add 2 other people to that who should also be in CC to be informed. And then you circle it around, you give the comments, and everyone comments in the document, and you in the end have to bring all the stuff together. Pure nonsense. There are so many tools out there that can do that. Google for Work is just one, Office 365 is another one, Confluence. So that's collaborative concept thinking, like you concept collaborate stuff. And this saves so much time and mistakes that I would say that's one very hands-on thing for nonsense. Another thing for nonsense is we're in an email culture, and the email is like more than 25 years old. People are used to sending emails everywhere internally. If you look to China, where the Tencent came up with a copy of WhatsApp, WeChat, you see how that changed the communication in not only in the private life, in everyday life, but also in businesses. And fewer and fewer people use emails for business. Some don't use it at all because they say, well, it's slow, you need a subject, you have all this stuff in there, you need to be formal. They are much faster. And if you just apply email culture to then a messenger, of course, you just cut mails into 90 pieces. That doesn't make sense again. So you need to find a way to have the people work on it, get a feeling for it, and also understand why this way of communication is faster. And faster communication is better. Faster communication is better communication. No question. No question. So that's another example for nonsense.
So a CDO will have to role model, drive for change, facilitate for that, show people how it can be successful, how it works. So where do you find those people? Like,
and how much do you have to pay?
Yeah, a relevant question.
I see more and more fellow entrepreneurs running like small agencies, consultancies, being recruited as CDOs because many CEOs believe, okay, they are different in terms of approach, culture and so on. That could be one approach, but not necessarily. So there could be CDOs within the CIO team, like positions that understand that IT is not the role for that, it's more admin, but they at least know the tool and technical side and have an understanding for that. So that's one area to look into that, definitely. I would look around entrepreneurs, definitely, or entrepreneurial setups, and then the CIO setups, and see like who has a more broad view from the team of the CIO into the company.
Maybe one other topic. I mean, going digital in many areas probably has to do with going decentral, handing over responsibility to cross-functional teams, have them drive projects with full ownership without endless alignment meetings with some line functions or unit leadership. Nevertheless, what are areas also in the digital world that you want to keep under tight control? Or are there areas that you want to keep under tight controls and really want to steer centrally?
Yeah, oh yeah. Very good question. Definitely the security topic needs to get out of the IT team into the CEO role and understand that security is coming more and more important in that world of digital transformation. We're not in the times anymore that we say, hey, great, start an e-commerce company like in the 90s and off you go. It's not the Wild West anymore. So there is a threat, a real threat to companies when you are not secure in your setup. We see that when we're hired. Sometimes we're hired for like making companies more secure in a digital way. Let's say like a very common thing these days is phishing and spoofing and whaling. This means I am, as a hacker, copying the identity of the CEO and giving orders within the company. Sounds simple, very easy, and very dangerous to companies. It's a financial threat. And CEOs need to understand that security is a chief level topic. If you don't understand that, you're most likely not the right CEO there. And then, of course, in the end, you are the decision maker when it comes to business model, also when it comes to operations and customer experience, and these will be major decisions.
Maybe the colleagues of a CDO in the boardroom, like the chief compliance or legal officer, chief financial officer, chief HR. Do we have any digital tips for those guys? I mean, they have to work together with that new colleague. They have, of course, I could imagine, play a crucial role in playing the. They have to play along and bring in their expertise, also exert some level probably of standardization and central control, while at the same time facilitating and not being in the way of change and going digital.
Super hands-on, chief legal, understanding that legal needs to be an enabler, not someone saying this is not possible, this is not possible, this is not possible. Very important, understanding the digital tools and contracts, especially when it comes to cloud tools and cloud providers. Chief HR, of course, finding the right people, but of course also managing a pipeline. There are many functions, especially in HR, with a lot of microprocesses attached. Cloud vacation management, a simple thing, yeah? It can add up with 500,000 people and make a lot of work, so there is potential in there. Chief Finance Officer, CFO, understand that it's an investment, it's not cost, it's an investment. That's very important. Super hands-on, and then be nice to your new colleague, at least for the next couple of years. I think we covered quite some topics, and thanks for the visit in Hamburg. What we did here is share our experience, so I hope that was helpful.
Thank you, Christoph.
Thank you.
Ja. Richtung. Ich muss zu Microsoft.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lufthansa flight